you?
Oh, how you been with it? I guess it's snowing somewhere.
I hope it is.
There you go.
Okay, so just gotta check.
Last call for anyone wanting to speak at the public hearing regarding ordinance 2022-9-1. We're going to close the public hearing. We'll call our city council meeting to order. If you would, please stand for the prayer and the pledge. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight, city council, and we ask that you would lead, guide, and direct our decisions, and that they might be pleasing unto you. Pray, Father, tonight that you would reach out and comfort those, especially those who have recently lost loved ones in the path of hurricane destruction and other storm damage, Father. Pray for all those in our nation that are hurting and needing your healing touch, Father. We pray these things in your Son, Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Chief Smith, would you please lead the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As I stated a little earlier, the mayor is out of town and I'm unable to be here tonight, so y'all please take it easy on me. This is not my normal seat. My normal seat, but not my normal duties. Phyllis, if you would, roll call.
Alderman Clegg,
Present.
Alderman Bell,
Present.
Vice Mayor Watson,
Present.
Alderman Bowman, Alderman Langford,
Present.
Alderman Linder,
Present.
all present except Alderman Linder.
We do have a quorum. We'll proceed on. Need a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Motion made by Alderman Bill Linder. Is there a second?
Sorry.
Second by Alderman David Langford. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved. Any additions or deletions to the agenda that's prepared before you?
Excuse me, I'd like to bring up one, with the chief. He and I has talked about the semis coming into Hickory, or coming to play over there.
Item number 9 would be discussing semis on Hickory Street. Any other additions or deletions? Need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Rexdale, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bill Linder. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. All right, in old business, we had our public hearing a moment ago on ordinance 2022-9-1 that passed on first reading. This is in regards to the training of employees and paying for that training, that they will be obligated to repay portions of that training should they leave their position within a 24-month period of the completion of that training. No one seemed to have heard any resistance, and there was no one speaking to the effect other than Mr. Lane, who thought it was a valid idea. So this time we'll entertain a motion to pass the second reading.
I move to be passed as presented.
Motion made by Alderman Clough. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rexdale. Any discussion? All right. Does that need a roll call, Ms. Phyllis, or is that? All right. All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. On to new business, number 1 is downtown revitalization. Ray Evans, Gene Gant, Shannon Cantor, I don't know who's. Thank you, Rick.
So I'm going to start tonight by sharing some numbers with you. The first number I'm going to share with you is $470,310. That's the amount we got last year with the state shared sales tax revenue generated in the Central Business District. For a number of years, from 2012 until 2017, we only averaged $33,000 a year. In 2018, mostly because of the fire at the Moneyham Hardware, we dropped to $162,000. This, on the 21st of September, we received a check from the state in the amount of $538,179. Substantial increase from previous years, 14% higher than the most we've ever had before, and about 131% higher than that 6-year average that I shared with you earlier. To me, that says that the investments that y'all have approved in the Central Business District are paying off. We would not be generating the sales tax revenue if our retailers weren't being successful, and obviously they are. The last year number was something that we totally did not expect. That was almost $160,000 more than the previous year, and we just continue to improve and improve and improve. So, thank you all for allowing the committee to invest in projects within the Central Business District that we think are really paying off. The next item I want to discuss with you is a capital budget for the next, what I'm going to call the committee's fiscal year. It's not the city's fiscal year, but it's the committee's fiscal year because that's when we get the money. I think you have in your package a spreadsheet. So the committee met a couple of weeks ago and blessed the budget that you have before you. We're going to start, or we are starting, this season with a fund balance of $678,562. Sounds like a lot, but we've got a lot going on. The first thing Ms. Phillips does, rightfully so, is grab the money for the loan and set it aside. So that's $138,000 or so. By the way, this will be the next to last, I think, loan payment that we have to make to the bank on the loan that we took out a number of years ago. So after 2 years from now, we'll have $138,000 plus or minus more to spend on the Central Business District than we currently have to spend. So you see the various items that we have there for site improvement grant. We've got one more reimbursement to make there as soon as Lindsay Walker, I think, puts up her canopy on South Church Street. She'll be eligible for her reimbursement. We have obviously money in there for my continued work for the city as a branch project manager that this board approved last week. We have ongoing maintenance with better lawns, and that's maintenance in and around the courthouse grounds, and some of the maintenance in Central Park, $19,800. We continue to have our consultants work on the courthouse project, the TDOT tax grant, so we've got money set aside for that. We recall that we were successful a few months ago in getting a Appalachian Regional Commission grant in the amount of $500,000. So we've got money in there for our designers, bars design, for the city's share of the design there. By the end of the month, by the end of the week, we will be applying for a second transportation alternatives grant to make the improvements on Cedar Street and Little Street between South Church and South Spring. Those improvements will be sidewalks on one side, the north side, I think, some pedestrian lighting and stormwater improvements as well. So we have some money in there for the application itself. We'll probably know 4 or 5 months from now whether we've been successful in that application or not. We also have money in the budget for the design and construction of the dog park, as well as Live in Livingston. We've increased the amount of Live in Livingston a bit this year over last year. What we found is that the quality of the performance that we're getting, and we had 3,500 people at one event and about 3,000 at another event. They all insist on some pretty high power audio equipment that simply makes no sense for us to purchase and install it at Central Park. So we lease those pieces of equipment for each event. So we increased our budget a bit for that. We have a placeholder for the LA prom at $5,000. We have some anticipation that there could be a conflict between our construction projects in the prom this year. Not 100% certain. So the mayor, I know, is having some discussions with the prom committee. It could be very well that we'll be under construction on sidewalk projects on East Broad and East Main during the same time with prom. It's also very likely that we could be under construction on the courthouse grounds at the same time. So I think the 5,000 is the maximum. Could be as little as 0. Could be something in between. We've got a placeholder there. Christmas in the Country. Recall that we had a very successful events in the Christmas in the Country last year with the rides that we had and also the ice skating rink. This is basically a replication of what we did last year that was so very successful. We always have a bunch of miscellaneous fees. BMI charges us a little bit of money for events in the park. We've got licensing fees for the movies, et cetera, and so you see that out in there as well. And as we have since the beginning, 2007, we make the contribution to the Chamber of Commerce that they then reinvest in the Central Business District. So things like Christmas in the Country or Halloween all fall in the category of expenses that they would have there. So we end up with a reserve of $148,799. And what I would ask of this board tonight is that you approve the budget as it has been presented, and that anything that falls into, that's not included in those first many items that would come out of the reserve or to be determined, we'll bring back to you on an individual basis for your approval of those and draw those out of the roughly $149,000. So I would ask that this body make a motion to that effect.
Is there a motion on the table to approve the budget as presented?
Move to approve.
Motion made by David Langford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rex Dale. Any discussion or questions of Mr. Evans? Any roll call on this one, Ms. Fields?
Yes. Alderman Langford,
Yes.
Alderman Miller, Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dodson,
Yes.
Alderman Linder,
Yes.
Alderman Clay.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passed.
So one last update would be on there too, T-Dot grant projects, sidewalks on Main and Broad, as well as improvements to the courthouse grounds. We believe that we're within a couple of weeks of getting approval from T-Dot of actually bidding the sidewalk projects, authorizing us to bid the sidewalk project. At the same time, we have, we believe that we're within a few weeks of getting approval of the environmental portion of the courthouse square project. It's, this is not a good time of the year to be bidding projects like sidewalks. We get into bad weather, makes no sense at all for, contractors have to build in days with such things as that. So I think it's very likely that we'll be able to bid most of these projects maybe in March, not as a single project, but two projects at the same time, and then maybe leverage our construction inspection so we can have one set of eyes looking at both projects at the same time and save some dollars there as well. Still working with the dog park folks, trying to get a date for the ceremonial check, and we don't have that news quite yet, but we're still working on that. I believe that's all I have.
Anyone else have anything for Mr. Evans? I want to applaud y'all's efforts. You thanked us for what we've done. Y'all done the legwork on it, and it's obviously paying off, and please keep up the good work. Shannon?
I do have one thing I wanted to make you aware of. The Tennessee Main Street Organization has opened up their downtown improvement grant, which is $100,000, and it's a 25% match. The chamber will be applying for that. Amanda Maynard is handling that grant for us, and we should know whether or not we're successful around mid-November. So what this would allow our downtown business owners, it's going to allow them to do some improvements on their facades. This is the second kind of grant like this, I believe, that we've received in the last few years. So it will allow them to be able to do door, window replacements, paint, awnings, lighting on the front of their store, anything that is facing a road. Nothing at the back of the buildings, just anything to the front. So this is in our downtown area. So also, wanted to let the businesses know, since we've tried to get them all at the chamber. We've had a couple meetings, but I did want to publicly announce that we are going to apply for this. So if there's anyone in the downtown area that is interested, you need to let me know, because I need to add that to the grant information.
When will you know on that? Do you know? Is that what's the?
Mid-November.
Okay, you may have said that.
Yeah, we have to have it turned in by October the 14th, and we should know by mid-November. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Ray, you have something?
Yeah. I forgot one item. So the Appalachian Regional Commission grant, we have the contract signed by ARC, by the state, and by the city. So we're ready for a kickoff meeting. And so, not yet scheduled specifically, but we think toward probably the last week in the month, we want to specifically invite the owners and tenants along South Church Street, and then the community in general, to attend a sort of an open house gathering of opinions and comments from the citizens with our consultants and others before we actually start the design. So we'll be coordinating with Shannon. Probably that would be at the chamber, probably somewhere between 5 and 7 o'clock in the afternoon. But our consultants will be here. We'll be here. We want to listen to the community as to what they want to see in this project on South Church Street.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anything else from downtown revitalization? We'll move on to item number 2. Mr. Warren Nevack from MTS.
Good evening, board and public. It's nice to be back here. Starting to feel like Livingston might be my second home. To give everyone an update on the recruitment for the police chief, we received 6 applications. The cutoff date was September 30th. So our next step, our police consultants and myself will screen the 6 applications and come up with the top 3 to be invited to our assessment center process. When we come up with the 3 folks, we'll ask for your approval on the list of 3. And then we have scheduled an assessment center for October 21st. This will involve a structured interview where they measure the competencies of the applicant as it relates to the position. We'll also have something like an in-basket memo where it's an exercise to see how they prioritize their time. And the third component would be a simulated press conference to the public, say a mock emergency and how they would handle questions and so forth. Our raters will score the assessment center, will prepare a report, and we turn it over to you. Then it's up to the board to proceed from there to select whoever you desire, or if you want to have the interviews. But our role is to screen and conduct the assessment center and prepare a report.
Thank you. Anyone have questions or comments for Mr. Neva?
Only thing I had was, when was the assessment?
It's October 21st.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. Keep us
Thank you.
posted. Mhm. Item number 3 is the retail coach, Mr. Kyle Kofer. Hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly.
Perfect. Well, thank y'all for having me. Again, my name is Kyle Kofer with the Retail Coach. Wanted to stop by and kind of give y'all an update on where we stand on the retail recruitment efforts. We're about 6 months in, really like where we are. I've been in town today hosting 2 small business workshops. Really what that is sifting through a lot of data, giving tips and tricks to local small businesses, throughout over Cali and Livingston. Just kind of giving them some data, some information that we see is helpful to the national brands, that's also been helpful for other small businesses throughout the country. Kind of jumping in on where we stand. So we have completed all the data, we've completed all the site profiles, and we've really spent our time with recruiting since I last spoke to y'all. So I'll go through some things. I'm going to keep a lot of these names kind of close to heart just because just managing expectations, but we've got some real prospects that we're working here. One is a national sit-down sandwich concept. We're working with their Nashville area franchisee, so he has rights to develop in this market. Looking to expand rapidly. He's looking for 3/4 of an acre to an acre. So, like I mentioned, a heavy focus of ours so far has been on sites, working with the mayor and Shannon, putting us in touch with locals, us talking to them about the possibility of selling if we had a user in place. So that sandwich user is hot on the market, and there's a franchisee in place. We're also working with a national coffee concept that has shown interest. There's also a franchisee in place. We have passed along sites to them, just kind of waiting to get some feedback on kind of where they want to be. Coffee concepts are very picky about where they want to locate. They want to have very high traffic counts, visibility, just because they depend solely on that AM traffic there. So working with that coffee concept. We're also working with the national chicken concept as well. We have submitted sites to them. Historically, throughout the years of us doing retail recruitment, this specific concept has always been slow to work with, and that's kind of straightforward with what we're seeing here. We follow up every 2 to 3 weeks, make sure they have everything they need, but on the front end, they told us that they are interested. So, have put a lot of sites in front of them on the front end, just trying to really whittle that down on what they're interested in. We're also working with quite a few brokers out of Nashville, two specifically with JLL. They said, hey, we really haven't put a focus on Livingston in the past, which I think is kind of key. I think you've been overlooked a little bit. Like I said, I was in town today. We look at everything through the eyes like a site selector would. There was a ton of traffic. I was really impressed. This is my third visit here since we've kind of been under contract, and everything looks really good. I'm trying to get these guys from Nashville down. They represent a number of concepts. They haven't told me exactly who they would be interested for this market. We're kind of on the front end of that. I've passed 2 or 3 sites to them. Well, I've passed our database of sites to them. They've come back with 2 or 3 that they're interested in. And I'm working with those property owners, trying to get an asking price, trying to get a phone call set up with these brokers and those property owners. We're working with a shoe concept that's looking for existing space, roughly 6,000 to 8,000 square feet. I met with this specific broker when I was in Austin, Texas at a Retail Live event on September 1st. So earlier this month I met with them. So they're looking for space, which is kind of hard to come by. So I'm also working with some developers as well on some specific sites. If we could get the right users committed, LOIs submitted on the front end, that kind of fit what this developer would want to do, that he would come in and inspect a building and kind of put everything together. So that's kind of where things stand. We've got a lot of interest on the front end. About 6 months into this thing, I really like where we stand. And moving forward, it's going to be more continued focus on retail recruitment. I'm going to be at Retail Live in Nashville on October 26th. And really what that is, it's a one-day retail trade show. So retailers and restaurants have booths set up, and it's kind of like speed dating. You get 2 or 3 minutes to go by and talk to them, market your community. So I'm going to be out there with Marketing Livingston. I've talked to Shannon about it, the mayor about it, so they might be attending as well. So that's something that we will be at, as well as ICSC Atlanta on October 13th and 14th. That's International Council of Shopping Centers, their regional show. So there will also be a number of retailers and restaurants at that show that I'll be marketing Livingston to. So that's kind of where we stand. Happy to answer any questions that y'all might have on the front end.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Hofer, the retail coach? Anything further you need from us at this point, and that we can do to
the mayor, the mayor and Shannon have been great to work with so far. They have provided me everything I need and probably more, putting me in touch with, the right people, kind of sending out some introductions on the front end so they're aware that I'm reaching out. So, we're extremely happy with where we stand, kind of halfway into this, and, kind of pushing on our end to get these stuff over the hump. So,
good deal. No one else?
thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Item number 4, Upper Cumberland Electric, Larry Fleming and/or Terry Merriman to speak with us.
Well, we're going to find out about what's exciting in Livingston.
Yeah.
This is the place to be, isn't it? I'm Terry Merriman with Upper Cumberland Public Relations and Communications, and I'm here with my friend, Member Services Larry Fleming. One of the most important 7 principles of our cooperative business model is based on concern for community. The statewide Cooperative Day of Service is an annual event among cooperatives that encourages community outreach through organized service projects. This is a statewide event. The event gives co-op employees the opportunity to volunteer and serve their communities. In the first 5 years of the Day of Service event, 1,900 employees have volunteered more than 4,900 hours to complete 116 individual projects in co-op communities across the state. Now, projects can be large or small. They can involve a few employees or dozens. At UCEMC, each district was encouraged to develop a project or projects in the service area and complete them during the workday on or around Thursday, October 20th, and or Friday, October 21st. Now, this is the first year that UCEMC employees have participated in the Day of Service, And we're going all out, especially here in the Livingston district. Our Livingston employees are especially excited about the project they've chosen. UCEMC employees will join forces with city crews to beautify the park walking area around Winningham Nature Park. 100% of the employees in this Livingston district office, 27 volunteers, have signed up to work the entire 2 days, clearing brush, planting bulbs and flowers, and starting work on better lighting in the area. Our crews will be assisted by Trees LLC. They're volunteering. They're a company with exactly the right equipment and know-how to keep our volunteers moving along. Also volunteering their expertise are the ladies of the Livingston Civic and Garden Club, who will be helping our volunteers design and plant. In addition, the club will be designating the park as an official design project for their members, and they will assist in maintaining and updating the plantings as needed. That is wonderful to use to most of us. This volunteer project is not for the faint of heart, as I have found out, and it does take a village to get anything done. Now, when I announced to the districts that we would participate in the Day of Service, my good friend Larry Fleming immediately targeted this project as one that would benefit the community, and he has worked tirelessly to pull everything together for me. I didn't know where to begin to organize this project, I have to admit. But Larry has led the way to connect the dots and help me see that it could all come together beautifully, and that it has done so far. Larry's here with me tonight to fill you in on some of the finer details of our project.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is a big project. Really didn't know how big it was until we got started looking at some things to do. When Ms. Terry called me and asked me some projects that we could look at, I did reach out to Ms. Shannon, the chamber, a lot of other people in the community, and we kept sort of falling back to maybe something around the nature park. And we want to make it, I guess, a beautification project. We're going to start on Melvin Drive as you go in towards the new football field, the new football stadium, and we're going to start there on the corner. We're going to try for 2 days to remove all the brush, everything that we can down the main highway, so you can see clearly through to the other side and get all that left. We're going to leave a few trees that are, I think, prominent to the area. It is a nature park, so we want to do the least we can to disturb anything there. Mr. Michael Hayes and I went by today and marked a lot of trees to leave. Mr. Christian has been working with us to get some items going too. So hopefully we can do everything we want in 2 days. We do have 100%, like Ms. Terry said. All of our guys, we have all the equipment, the saws, the pole saws. Our right-of-way contractors, LLC, has volunteered a full day to help us. They're going to give us a full day. So we're going to have marshals, we're going to have crews there working tirelessly. We're going to feed everybody, make sure everybody is hydrated and everything. So hopefully we can do a whole lot of cleanup and work there. And we are going to work, the mayor and I have talked, and he is interested in some lighting in some places. And I think we're in a position that we can provide that for you all. And we're doing this as a community project. A lot of people use the park, I think, as well. I have stopped and talked to several people, ladies that may be pregnant or strolling their little one, or older folks, and they are thrilled about us trying to clean that up, so it's not such a hassle. Some places you can't see really well, and so we just want to make it a beautiful place for our town, our city. So I don't know what else, Michael, you got anything, Christian?
Sounds exciting, much appreciated, and like you say, it takes a village. It sounds like they're bringing a village together to get this done. So, anybody have questions or comments for Fleming or Ms. Merriman, either one?
I'd just like to say that we want to thank Upper Cumberland, because, I mean, you fellas do a great job, we appreciate you so much, and, I do know with you fellas teaming up with our bunch and everything, it'll be a great success. We want to thank you very much.
We appreciate that. We brought it to the mayor and Mr. Dodson a long time ago, and we've been working on it about a month now. It does take a lot of planning, and especially when we have this many people involved, our contractors and all of our guys, and we thank you for letting us be part of this.
And we are needing some rain. Hopefully it won't rain on those days, but there are some rain days set aside just in case.
We do have some rain days, so we'll get there.
Thank you again, appreciate it. All right, item number 5 is property maintenance, Mr. Christian Manson.
Vice Mayor Norton, I'm here to report on our property maintenance up through October of 2022. This is all dealing with our Title 13 property maintenance regulations. Chapter 1 is our miscellaneous, and to date, we have had 206 properties that have been in violation. 202 of the properties are in compliance. We have 4 that are in violation at this time. The property that's listed as state-owned and litigation with their heirs has recently been sold in a public tax sale, and so that should be getting cleaned up in the near future. We have 2 liens on properties at this time, and 5 properties have been cleaned up by the city. On our Chapter 2, which is abandoned and wrecked, dismantled, and operative vehicles, 26 vehicles have been in violation and 26 vehicles are in compliance. On Chapter 4, slum clearance, we have 14 structures that have been considered slum. 3 of these properties are boarded up at this time. 4 have been torn down by the owners, and 7 of the properties have been restored. And then our Chapter 5, junkyards, we have had 0 property cited in that area.
Thank you, Christian. Anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Mansell?
The building out here on North Church that was boarded up, next to the laundromat, I know noticed there's doing a lot of work for that, and painting, what's going in there, or?
So that property, they are remodeling that building. They should be setting trusses any day now. So there'll be 2 offices in the front, and I believe they are already spoken for, and they will be climate-controlled storage in the rear of that building. I think 4 climate.
Just going down the highway, they're making it look nice.
Hey, look, it's gonna really help right there. It's looking
It's
good.
gonna be super nice. I didn't know what was going on with it. Somebody doing something.
And then the old co-op, we're looking at, we should be seeing a roof go on it in the near future, so happening on it today, so that's another plus.
Thank you again. Anybody else? All right, thanks, Christian. Item number 6 is titled signature for checks. City policy is that there are 2 signatures required on all checks coming out of this offices. Myself, the mayor, and Chris Speck were the 3 that were authorized to do that. And of course, Mr. Speck resigned and is no longer, need to get a replacement for him. And hopefully it'll be someone nearby and local, so it's easy for the mayor or Phyllis to get someone to come and sign a check. And I understand that maybe Mr. Rexdale has been approached and asked if he would do that, and I think he's willing to. So be willing to hear a motion to that effect or any other effect at this time regarding that.
I'll move to that.
Motion made by Alderman Clough to add Rexdale as an authorized signer to the chain of accounts. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bill Linder. Any discussion? All for that motion, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7 is bids on paving. In your packet that you received tonight, there is a list. We had a bid opening today at 1 o'clock for paving. As you might remember, hopefully you do, we budgeted $1 million from the ARPA funds to be used toward paving. Hoped to get a whole lot more streets from that million, but as the cost has gone up on things, as everyone's well aware, and the bid that we received today, and then you can see that that list there would total $973,000 based on the bid that was received. And that bid is an 8-month contract, so it may or may not happen before cold weather gets here and they shut the paving plants down, the asphalt plants down. But those would be the streets that are to be looked at being paved with that $1 million. Just need a motion to approve that list if anyone's willing to do so.
When it will start.
That's why it's an 8-month contract. They're hoping that they can get started and that the plants will stay open, that they can do some before bad weather hits and they close the plant down. But the 8 month, it may be spring before it actually happens, my understanding.
I have two different lists, one in the agenda, we have 28 and then this add-on at 26, which is correct. This one, so it's 26 streets, not 28.
26 is correct, and yours, the new one should have the total, the dollar total on it as well.
Correct.
Yes, that's the correct one. Those 26 are what we're voting to approve. Somebody keep me straight. Did we have a motion? No. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it matters, but it is specified North Spring Street and South Spring Street. Number 2 and 3 are both Spring Street 7. Doesn't say north or south. I don't know if that matters for any reason, but.
I'm sure it matters, but I honestly don't know to tell you which is which as far as north and south spring on that. Nobody here from the street department. We can get that clarified.
If we get that clarified, I make a motion to approve those.
Motion made by Alderman Rexdale to approve these 26 streets with the clarification of items 2 and 3, designating specifics on Spring Street. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bill Linder. Any more further discussion regarding this? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dodson,
Yes.
Alderman Linder,
Yes.
Alderman Clegg,
Yes?
Alderman Langford,
Yes.
motion passed.
Motion passed. Moving on, item 8 is the update from the police department. Ray Smith.
Vice Mayor, Board Alderman. Just giving you an update about where the police department's been moving to and where we've come from. And the exciting thing we're really working on for the betterment of the department and the community itself is the ordering and the grant that was applied for and found that was found in favor and also received. The 7 patrol units that we placed on order and got confirmed that did pass. So we have been granted to purchase those 7 units. They went in production actually today is what I got a little email on. It'll be 7 patrol units. They are Dodge Chargers. It's what we use today and is what have we been buying in the past. They seem to be very feasible for the police department and we get great decent use out of it. Secondary thing, we still are 3 men short. We're still out there asking for gentlemen and ladies to apply. 3 positions for patrol is what we're looking for. Also in 1 SRO. We've put it out multiple times. We keep folks do apply, but when we find out, the workload and what takes place, it seems to change some minds. But that said, secondary thing, we are coming to a close. The most exciting thing I want to tell you about is we're coming to a close in our evidential room. I would say by the end, thank goodness I said by the end of this month, we will be having orders prepared and things to be took care of to the court. And to be either gave back or destroyed or sold, one or the other. We also completed a sale that was approved by the board. Some old units, old patrol units and old vehicles that we had on hand. Those also cleared through gov deals and that's also passed. We have another sale coming up that we're gonna apply again and put on gov deals. We're using that money for the equipment, for the cars and stuff, so it don't put a burden upon the city taxpayer. We have several that is entering school. We have some young men and women that's heading out to go to school to become certified in law enforcement. That just don't stop their training from there. They'll come back and also sit back down in the car again and ride several months in the FTO program, whichever they're going into. If they're going into the school system, they will go to the schools and be under Jeremy Laycock's tutelage, which is the sergeant for the SRO division. Other strides, we're improving in training. We're looking forward to a new training session of our in-services to see that officers are receiving the proper training to make them better officers out on the street, to better serve the community here. And having a lot of this training too is de-escalation training that's been brought up multiple times. We're putting that into our regular training program. We have had great success. We are reaching out to MTASC at the end of the bring them straight up. We're going to reach out to them for another audit. We have been doing regular audits at our department to make sure that we are following the guidelines and proper procedures. Also, we're looking at to redo our procedures as soon as possible of the department and see what is feasible for us and what changes we need to make. And that would come under advisement of MTASC themselves.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone have any questions or comments? Chief Ray Smith?
Good work. I mean, I'm amazed that you're almost done. That's great.
Thank you, sir. It's been a feat, but I know we could overcome it. We got good men and women works for our department. We got great support of our board, and we have a great outlook with MTAS to help us overcome these situations.
Good deal. Just stay where you are, because you're on, I think you got you included on the next item as well. Number 9 is semis trucks on Hickory Street.
Back years ago, when Hickory Springs was in business, all of our trucks went up Main Street and turned there on Meyer Street. They knew to do that. Today's technology with the GPS, it likes to take them down Mofield Street and the back streets, and they get hung up. I get that. But what our drivers and the drivers are running into now, you know, I agree, no semi should be on Mofield and Wendell Street. But we used to cut up on the busy time of day, back in the Hickory days, up Spruce Street.
Yes, it is.
And you can go up there and you can swing right, wide and make the turn with no problems. What happens in the middle of the day when you go on up to the Vault Place on Main Street, cars coming, you take a semi with a 53-foot trailer, they just can't make that swing. They get into the pole, they have to back up, traffic stops them, and it is really, really a burden. So I'm just asking if maybe Spruce Street would be open back up to semis, because it would just make an easier entrance. They don't come out that way. 3 o'clock in the morning when we go out, there's no traffic, it's no big deal. It's just in the middle of the day when traffic's really heavy off of Main onto Meyer.
We have looked into it, and I have went up there personally and observed the trucks trying to make the turn up there, and they're trying to get folks to come off of Meyer Street, come on and give them a little space. Don't really work, and we have that problem of just waiting. It does back up traffic. I don't know how Spruce got the sign. Maybe somebody else does. I don't know if there was a petition to the city ordinance or whatsoever to get that. There's a little sign there.
It may have happened while I've been on the board, but I don't recall. David, or you recall?
So, Vice Mayor, I went to there and made some contact with folks. There is 2 businesses on that little street there. One is closed, and you got the Mental Health. There is it's residents, just I think of 5 altogether, if I'm looking at it correct. I did attempt to make contact with those 5, did leave a card for them to call me back, so I'd like to know what their input would be on that road. The only one that called back said, I didn't know it was ever blocked. So unfortunately, I don't know how that come about, and I told Mr. Bill, I'd like to know how it come about and get the input of the community and input of the board on that. I have no objection, because there is room there. It's about a football field length, and it's pretty much, it's not a busy spot. So I don't see that to be a major problem if the board sees fit to do so.
Make a motion, we pull the signs, allow the trucks to go down Spruce Street.
Motion on the floor to pull the signs, to allow trucks on Spruce Street, any hours, any direction. Is there a second to that motion?
They won't go down it. I'll say after dark, okay? Spruce Street, as far as my drivers, would just be, coming in during the afternoons. They know to go to the red light. They leave it out 2:35 in the morning, but they will go to Main Street and exit. They will not go down Spruce Street.
We have a motion, still looking for a second.
Second.
Second by Rex Dale. Any further discussion regarding the motion? All right, all in favor of the motion as presented, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm gonna sit down on
Mr. Linder abstained from the vote. Motion still carries. All right, folks, that gets us to the end of my agenda. I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman David Langford, second by Johnny Clough. We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Well done.
Take care.